Corporations are people, my friend. We can raise taxes on, of course they are. Everything corporations earn ultimately goes to people.
I should also tell my story. I'm also unemployed.
I'm not concerned about the very poor. We have a safety net there. If it needs repair, I'll fix it. We will hear from the Democrat Party the plight of the poor, and there's no question it's not good being poor.
I like being able to fire people who provide services to me.
Mitt Romney proved remarkably adept at publicly putting his foot in his own mouth, but it was his talk at a private $50,000 a plate fundraiser that did the most damage.
There are 47% of the people who will vote for the president no matter what. All right, there are 47% who are with him, who are dependent upon government, who believe that they are victims, who believe that government has a responsibility to care for them, who believe that they're entitled to health care, to food, to housing, to you name it. But that's an entitlement, and government should give it to them. And they will vote for this president no matter what.
Scott Prouty is the man behind that video, and he joins us now. Scott, I mean, I feel like there's been a veritable parade of rose petals that have advanced your appearances this week, but welcome to the show.
Thank you. I saved the best for last. This is my last TV appearance ever, and I saved the best for last.
Scott, it's great to have you on the show. We have many questions for you. The first question I have for you is, you know, when you made this video, were you concerned about the subject of income inequality, where the Republican Party had been at, or was this more about the man Mitt Romney and what he had been saying? When
I made the video, I had no preconceived notion of what was going to be said, you know, but when I heard it, then, you know, frankly, the idea that he would go buy the sweatshop in China, that's what really angered me the most.
He does. You're talking about the moment in the speech when he says he's gone to visit a factory in China and speaks of deplorable working conditions.
And had a great feeling.
Yeah, and then sort of tries to spin that as, look at the barbed wire fences that keep these workers in. That's because they want to be there, and other people, they're trying to keep the rabble rousers out, the people that want a piece of that pie.
It was absurd, and you know, but there was, you know, that whole tape. There was individual parts that were just, one was worse than the next and the next and the next. There was a lot of different parts that were probably offensive to different people in all different ways.
He managed to actually hit many different pieces of the electorate in that one speech. What I want to know is, I mean, I think a lot has been done to vilify Mitt Romney for saying what he said, but at the end of the day, there was a room full of people that were eating their steaks and drinking their wine and sort of clinking their glasses and agreeing with this. What was it like inside that room?
I was looking for other faces in the room that were kind of appalled, and I just didn't see too many. Maybe a couple people I worked with kind of had the same gut reaction that I had, but I didn't, as far as the people that were there, I was expecting, when he said some of this stuff, I just couldn't believe that he was saying it. And so you know, I was kind of scanning the room, and I didn't see any reaction whatsoever. You know?
You were a bartender,
yeah.
And you were working the room, and we were told that you didn't have health insurance, which is interesting given Mitt Romney's shifting stance on health care. I want to play some sound from an appearance he made on Jay Leno earlier that year, talking about people with pre-existing conditions and access to health care.
People with pre-existing conditions, as long as they've been insured before, they're going to be able to continue to have insurance.
Well, suppose they were never insured before.
If they're 45 years old and they show up and they say, I want insurance because I've got a heart disease, it's like, hey guys, we can't play the game like that. You've got to get insurance when you're well, and then if you get ill, then you're going to be covered.
Hey guys, we can't play the game like that. If you have health insurance, you lose. I mean, what is one supposed to glean from all of that? Was that something on your mind when you were in that position back making the video?
I have a pre-existing condition. I was diagnosed with a genetic blood disease when I was about 30 years old, and they denied me for health care coverage. And so, I mean, I have an idea of what it takes and what people go through, you know, when that happens to you and you're out of luck, you know. So I don't think he gets that, and I don't think he, you know, hey, it's not a game for these people with a heart condition when they're 45. That's not a game, you know, for those people.
Or that they would sort of be rolling the dice because they wanted to, and not because
it's fun. It's fun not to go to the doctor.
Right, exactly.
Given that this is such a momentous moment in the course of the campaign and therefore American history, I propose a reenactment. I mean, I'm just curious mechanically. Was there a moment, were you watching the speech and then you just heard something that triggered you, or did you know you were going to record it from the start?
What kind of camera
and
did you
how the hell
record
did
it
you
on?
do it? Were you sitting there like this? I mean, I need to give some tips to some of my cub reporters about how to...
You want to use a...
Yeah, exactly, please.
Canon power shot, and it was on the bar, open just like this, and reenactment, I just pressed record. And I started, when he started talking, I just pressed record. It wasn't, I knew I was going to record it, and I had brought the camera just so maybe we could take pictures with him at the end. But when he started talking, I just, hit go. And that was it.
And did you talk to any of your fellow waitstaff, bartenders, about what you had done, or
No.
not what you had done, but what Romney had just said?
A few of us kind of got together, and at the end we said, I'm not going to say what they were saying, but it was, we kind of had the same gut reaction that I can't believe this guy.
And had you planned to sort of use it against him when you hit play, or was it just for history?
I thought, honestly, I thought it was going to be an hour worth of boring. I really did. I had no idea, and I thought that I would show it to one or two people, and that was it. It was curiosity. I was 20 feet away from a guy that had 50% chance of being a president.
Let me ask you, Scott, because we know that you were an independent before this all happened. And to some degree, the Republican Party has said, look, we've got to change the way we communicate with people. We've got to change our messaging. We've got to reach out more. But on a substantive fashion, I'm not sure they feel any differently, really, about access to health care, given the rhetoric that's coming out of CPAC right now about repealing the nation's health care law, or the sort of dog whistles about the takers versus the makers. So I wonder how all of this has affected you and what you think of when you think of American politics, and whether you're still an independent.
Yeah, I think I am an independent, or I guess, I think that it's kind of divide and conquer. That it's always about percentages, or it's these people versus these people, or, those divisive social issues that they bring up so much. I think people are starting to see through that, and, I think I've seen through that. I don't think it's good for America to be dividing by classes. I think it's the 1% versus everybody else. And I think those people are the ones that have control at the top.
Well, if you look at the statistics, I mean, we talk a lot on the show about income disparity, and I will use this moment to do that again. 93% of income gains in 2010 went to the top 1%. 50% of the jobs in this country, Frank, pay less than $33,000 a year. 25% of the jobs pay less than $22,000 a year. The federal poverty line for a family of four is right around there. I mean, we talk about this recovery and the surging markets, and, that it's really about cutting top marginal tax rates. And then you look at those numbers, and we are in a crisis right now.
We are, and it's stunning how little our political system is equipped to address this crisis in any sort of way. That I think Obama cares about inequality, and he signaled that he's going to make this an important part of his legacy, and a lot of what he's fighting against would exacerbate inequality, and a lot of what he's trying to do will improve it on the margins. And healthcare reform, it was an important measure to counter some of this. But still, given the heft and weight of the problem, it's just amazing how little attention it gets.
And that the conversation is about cutting the deficit and how we're going to reform entitlement programs at a period of disproportionate end times need.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to gloss over other incredibly choice nuggets from this video, because we've talked a lot about the 47%. But Jonathan, lest we forget, this is the same video where Mitt Romney said on immigration, we make it hard for people to come here unless, of course, you have no skill or experience, in which case you're welcome to cross the border and stay here for the rest of your life. Because nobody that comes here illegally is in any way skilled or would contribute to the American economy.
To the American economy, which defies our entire history. I mean, the thing that's so stunning about the 47% comment, that comment, the "if I were a Mexican" comment that he made. Yes,
the comment that if his dad had been Mexican, he'd have a better shot of winning this.
The thing, when your tape came out, I was so shaken by it. I was talking about it it came out late in the afternoon. I kept talking about it for hours, trying to wrap my head around how was it possible that a person running for president of the United States, leave aside in public, in private, speak that way about a country he hoped to lead. And it spoke to me anyway, and clearly to you as well, that this Mitt Romney has this mindset that has him high above everyone else in a way that made him, I think, unpalatable to lots of people. And your video just was like the boom, that's it. That's enough for me, for a lot of people.
Scott, in the Fix in the Washington Post, Sean Sullivan has, I think, a great analysis of, I mean, it's like, must be tedious to hear all these people sort of endlessly praise you, but this I think really hits. I mean, this is why what you've done is bigger than just one campaign and one candidate. He writes, what Prouty showed was that in one sense, the high wall that campaigns put up can also be bypassed, and that is something campaign strategists must be aware of in the future. Whatever careful or cautious meant before, it must mean something new in 2014, 2016, and beyond, because the next Scott Prouty could be impossible to identify in advance. Now, I would say, what I take away from that is, if you want to be authentic, you actually have to be authentic.
Maybe you need
have
to
to
say
be
what you
consistent.
mean.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think, I mean, in presidential politics, if you're somebody really different behind closed doors from the one you're presenting, that usually does come out. I mean, this was an incredibly dramatic version of that.
Scott, awesome.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for doing
Could I
this
say
show.
one
Of
last
course,
word? The
please,
reason
take it away.
The reason I'm here in public today was to shine some light on Charlie Carnigan's work, Institute for Global Labor and Human Rights. And that really was the goal of me coming out, and this will be the last TV interview I do. But if I could just shine a little bit of light on the work he does for 20 years, that's mission accomplished for me.
Is that going to be, in terms of your next steps, are you going to be more involved with him?
Leo Gerard announced on television last night that he offered me a job. I'm heading to Washington after this, and we'll see where it goes.
That means, my friend, this is not your last television appearance, but maybe in this capacity.
Yes.
It is great to have you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.